Okay, welcome to today's lesson. In this video, we're going to look at common logarithm and how to use the four-figure table to solve questions on common logarithm. So first of all, what is a common logarithm? A common logarithm is logarithm to base 10. It is logarithm to base 10 and it usually consists of two parts, the characteristics and the mantissa. So for example, log 6, if I press the value of log 6 in my calculator, log 6, that is equal to 0.77815, which is approximately 0.7782. So log 6 is 0.7782. In this log value, 0 is my characteristics and 0.7782 is the mantissa. So the whole number is usually the characteristics. The whole number is the characteristics, while the fractional part or the decimal part is what the mantissa. So 0 is the characteristics, which is the whole number part, and 0.7782 is the mantissa, which is the decimal part of it. So let's look at some questions. With the aid of tables, evaluate open bracket 42.95 bracket close raised to the power of 3. Then question 2 here is with the aid of tables, evaluate open bracket 64.5 raised to the power of 3. Then question 3 here is to evaluate using log table 5.34 times 67.4 divided by 2.7. Then the fourth question I have here, which is the last question, is evaluate using log table 23.4 times 64.45 divided by 92.7. So let's take the first one. With the aid of tables, evaluate open bracket 42.95 raised to the power of 3. So the first thing I want to do here is to draw out a column, is to draw out two columns. I'll just draw out a line, and here's a line with two columns. On one side of the column is the number, then on the other side is the column for the log value. So the number that I was given is 42.95. So I'm going to write it here, 42.95 raised to the power of what? 3. So the next thing that you would want to do is to look for the log value of 42.95. So I'll bring out my calculator and press log 42.95. So log 42.95 is equal to 1.6329. 1.6329. So I'm going to write 1.6329. This is my log value of 42.95. So this power of 3 in logarithm means times 3. Times 3. So I'll bring out my calculator again and press 1.6329 times 3, and that will be equal to 4.8987. So that's equal to 4.8987. So this is what I've gotten in the log value, right? 4 is our characteristics, like we said, the whole number part is the characteristics, while the fractional part, which is 0.8987, is the mantissa. So the next thing I would want to do is to look for the anti-log of this number, is to look for the anti-log of this number. So how do I look for the anti-log of 4.8987? I'll bring out my calculator. To look for the anti-log, I will press shift and then press log. So this is the anti-log, and then I'll put in the value, which is 4.8987. 8987, and that will be equal to 79,195.4.41. So that's 79,195.41. 79,100 and what? 195.41. So this is our answer. So therefore, 42.95 raised to the power of 3 is equal to 79,195.41. This is our answer. It's quite straightforward and very simple. Let's look at the other example that we have here, the other question that we have here. So the question is, with the aid of tables, evaluate 64.5 raised to the power of 3, right? So just like we did in the first example, the first thing that I will want to do here is to draw out a table with 2 columns. On the first side of the column is my number, while on the second side of the column is my log value. So the number that I have here is 64.5 raised to the power of what? 3. So what I would want to do next is to look for the log value of 64.5. So I'll bring out my calculator and I will press log 64.5. So log 64.5 is equal to 1.8095. 1.8095. This is approximately 96. I'll round it up this 5 to 1 and add it to this 5 to make it what? 6. So this is 1.8096. This power of 3 in logarithm means times 3. So 1.8096 times 3 is what? 1.8096 times 3 is equal to 5.4288. 5.4288. So 5 is my characteristics, 0.4288 is the mantissa. So the next thing I would want to do is to look for the antilog of this number. The antilog of this number. So how do I look for the antilog of this number? I'll bring out my calculator. I'll press shift and then press log and then put in the value, which is 5.4288. 5.4288. That will be equal to 268,410.81 or 0.8. Yeah, 0.8, because our answer is in one decimal place, right? So this is 268,410 point what? 0.8. So therefore 64.5 raised to the power of 3 is equal to 268,410.8. This is our answer to this question. So let's take the next question that we have here, which is evaluate using log table 5.34 times 67.4 divided by 2.7. So this is quite straightforward as well. So what I would want to do first is to draw out a column, a table, right? Is to draw out a table. And in this my table, and this is my table. I have one side of the table, and that side of the table, on the left side of the table, is my column for numbers, while here I have the column for the log values, right? So the first number I have here is 5.34. 5.34. 5.34, and it is multiplied by 67.4. So it's times 67.4, right? So I'll look for the log value of 5.34. 5.34. So I'll bring out my calculator and look for the log value of 5.34. So log 5.34 is equal to 0.7275. 0.7275. That is my log value for what? 5.34. Then I will look for the log value of 67.4. So I'll come here, press log, and press 67.4. That will be equal to 1.82865, which is approximately 1.8287, right? So 1.8287. The reason why we're looking at answers in 1, 2, 3, 4 in 4 decimal places is because we're using the four-figure table, which is the logarithm table. So, having gotten this, the next thing I would want to do is to add the log values. So whenever you have multiplication of real numbers, in logarithm, multiplication means what? Addition. So what I would do is to add these numbers. So if I add these numbers, what am I going to get? So I'll simply quickly use my calculator to add these numbers. So I have 0.7275 plus 1.8287. That is equal to 2.5562. 2.5562. So this is the addition. This is the result that I got from the addition of these two log values, Abi. So the next thing I would want to do is to now look for the log value of 2.7. So this times this divided by what? 2.7. So first of all, what's my log value of 2.7? So I'll bring out my calculator and press log 2.7. Log 2.7 will give me 0.43136. So this is approximately 0.4314. So 0.4314. So this is division, right? Divided by 2.7, as we've gotten it here. So in logarithm, division means minus. So what I would do is to remove this value, subtract this value from this value. So if I minus these two, what am I going to have? So this is 2.5562 minus 0.4314. So I'll bring in my calculator and punch that. 2.5562 minus 0.4314. That will be equal to 2.1248. 2.1248, right? Yes, 2.1248. So having gotten this, the next thing I would want to do is to look for the anti-log of this number, is to look for the anti-log of this number. So what's the anti-log of 2.1248? I'll bring in my calculator, I'll press shift and then press log to get the anti-log, and then I'll put in this value, which is 2.1248, and that is equal to 133.29. 133.29. This is our answer. So therefore, 5.34 times 67.4 divided by 2.7 is equal to 133.29. This is our answer. It's quite simple and also straightforward. So let's look at the last example that we have here. So the last example is just like this one that we just did. So it's like the previous one. So the question is to evaluate using log table 23.4 times 64.45 divided by 92.7. So we'll put our solution here, right? So the first thing I would want to do, just as I always do, is to draw out the table that has two columns, right? On one side of the column is the column for the numbers, while on the other side I have the column for log value. Okay, so what are the numbers that I have? I have 23.4 times 64.45. That's my numerator, so I will have to solve that first. So what's the log value of 23.4? I'll bring out my calculator and press log 23.4, and that is equal to 1.3692. 1.3692. So that is 1.3692. Then I will look for the log value of 64.45. Log 64.45 is equal to 1.8092. 1.8092. So, like I said before, multiplication in logarithm means addition, right? So this is plus. So I'll have to add these two values. So 1.3692 plus 1.8092 is what? 1.3692 plus 1.8092 is equal to, press this, 3.1784. So that's 3.1784. So this is the result that we got from the addition of these two log values. Then the next thing that we have is divided by 92.7. So divided by 92.7. So what's my log value of 92.7? Log 92.7 is equal to 1.9670. So there is 7 here, approximately 1.9671, right? So 1.9671. In logarithm, division means what? Minus. So having done that, the next thing I would want to do is to subtract. So 3.1784 minus 1.9671. So I'll bring it to my calculator and then punch that. 3.1784 minus 1.9671 9671. That is equal to 1.2113. 1.2113. The next thing I will do is to look for the antilog of this number. The antilog. Because we have actually resolved everything here. We have looked at 23.4 times 64.45 divided by 92.7. And the result that we got in our log column is 1.2113. The next thing is to look for the antilog of this number. So how do I look for the antilog of that number? I'll press shift and then press log and then put in the value, which is 1.2113. That will be equal to 16.266. So that's approximately 16.26. That's approximately 16.27, right? So that's approximately 16.27. So therefore, 23.4 times 64.45 divided by 92.7 is equal to 16.27. This is my answer to this question. So with this, we come to the end of this lesson. So just to be sure that you understood this lesson very well, you can solve the following questions.